What happens when someone says something so shocking in a studio that even Dr. Phil freezes? I, I can't do this anymore. The words barely left her lips, but they hit the room like a freight train. Dr. Phil's hand shot up. Stop the tape. Everyone stop. The cameras kept rolling, but the energy in the studio had shifted. This wasn't just another episode. What she said next would change everything, not only for her, but for everyone present. Her name was Emma, 23 years old, sitting in the guest chair with her hands clenched so tightly her knuckles were white. She had come on the Dr. Phil show because her family insisted. They said she needed help. They said she was acting out. They said a lot of things, but no one had asked her what she needed to say. The episode began like many others. Dr. Phil walked onto the stage. The audience applauded. Cameras took their positions. Emma's mother sat in the second guest chair, composed, makeup flawless, ready to present her perspective. Emma has been difficult since she was a teenager, her mother said, her tone practiced but weary. She won't hold a job. She isolates herself from the family. She refuses to participate in anything. We just don't understand what happened to our sweet girl. Dr. Phil nodded, taking notes. He had heard variations of this story hundreds of times. Troubled young adult, concerned family, breakdown in communication, classic intervention territory. But Emma's silence felt different. He could sense it. Emma, he began, using the firm but gentle voice he had perfected over 20 years. Your mom says you've pulled away from everyone. Talk to me. What's going on in your world? Emma stared at her hands. The lights felt too bright. The audience too close. Her mother's presence suffocating. I'm fine, she whispered. You're fine. Dr. Phil echoed, clearly skeptical. Emma, people who are fine don't isolate themselves. People who are fine don't quit jobs they're good at. People who are fine don't come on national television and refuse to make eye contact. Tell me again, what's really going on? The silence stretched. 30 seconds, 45 seconds. In television time, it was an eternity. Producers grew uneasy. The audience shifted. Emma's mother reached to touch her arm. Don't touch me. Emma snapped, recoiling as if burned. Dr. Phil noticed it immediately, the flinch, the fear. Hold on, he said, standing. He approached carefully, keeping distance. Emma, I need you to look at me for just a moment. She lifted her eyes. For the first time, Dr. Phil saw past the defiance, past the walls, past the armor. What he saw made his stomach drop. Emma, are you safe at home? Her mother stiffened. Of course she's safe. What kind of question is that? Ma'am, I need you to let your daughter answer, Dr. Phil said without breaking eye contact. Emma, are you safe? Her voice cracked. I can't. I can't do this anymore. And that's when Dr. Phil stopped everything. Stop the tape, he said firmly. His hand went up. The control room paused. This wasn't in the script. Stop the tape, everyone. Stop. The cameras rolled, but the show's usual flow was gone. Dr. Phil turned to his producer off camera. Get me a therapist from the resource team immediately, and set up a private room. He faced Emma, who was now visibly shaking. Emma, you are safe right now. In this moment, you don't have to say another word on this stage if you don't want to. But I think you came here because you needed someone to hear you. Am I right? Emma nodded, tears streaming. Okay, Dr. Phil said gently. Here's what we're going to do. You and I will step off this stage. We'll go somewhere private. You'll tell me what you need to say. No cameras, no audience, just you and me. Can you do that? Emma stood on trembling legs. Dr. Phil guided her off stage, his hand hovering near her shoulder without touching, providing support without invading space. The audience sat stunned. Emma's mother started to follow. Ma'am, Dr. Phil said, his voice firm in a way the studio hadn't heard before. You need to stay here. My team will speak to you separately. Right now, she needs to feel safe to speak. Please sit down. There was no room for negotiation. Emma's mother sat off stage in a small consultation room normally used for producer meetings. Dr. Phil sat across from Emma. The walls were soundproof. A therapist from the show's resource team stayed quietly in the corner, giving space. Emma, Dr. Phil said, shifting from host to trained psychologist, what do you need to tell me? The floodgates opened. He comes to my room at night, she said, words spilling out. Mom's boyfriend. She doesn't know? Or maybe she does but refuses to see it. It started 2 years ago. I tried to tell her once, and she said I was jealous, trying to ruin her happiness. She said I always made everything about me. Dr. Phil remained calm. How long has this been going on? 2 years. Ever since she moved him in. I tried to move out, but she said leaving would betray the family. I tried to get a job, save money, but she said I had to stay home and help with my younger sisters. I'm trapped. Off camera, Dr. Phil made an unexpected decision. Emma, listen carefully. What you just told me is not your fault. Not one bit of it. Do you understand? She nodded, sobbing. Here's what's going to happen. My team has connections with top trauma counselors in the country. Tonight, you'll be somewhere safe, not back at that house. You'll have resources, support, and people to help you. If you choose to report what happened, we'll help with that too. But the choice is yours. Your voice matters. Your story matters. You matter. He reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a business card. Not a show card, his personal card. This is my direct line. Mine. If you need anything, anytime, call this number. I don't care if it's 3 a.m. You call. Understood. Emma took the card with trembling hands. Why are you doing this? 20 years ago, I promised myself this. When someone walks into my studio truly needing help, not seeking fame, but reaching for a lifeline, I will not let them leave without throwing that rope. That's why. But what happened next surprised everyone. When Dr. Phil and Emma returned to the stage 45 minutes later, Emma's mother was still seated, now flanked by two of the show's security personnel. The audience had been informed that a serious situation was unfolding and were asked to remain quiet and respectful. Dr. Phil addressed them directly, a rarity given the gravity of the moment. Ladies and gentlemen, what you are about to witness is not entertainment. This is real life. This young woman came here today carrying a secret that was destroying her, and she found the courage to speak. What happens next matters more than ratings, more than content, more than anything we usually worry about on television. He turned to Emma's mother. Ma'am, your daughter has made very serious allegations. Allegations that, if true, represent criminal behavior in your home and a failure of protection as a parent. Emma's mother went pale. I don't know what she told you, but I'm going to stop you right there, Dr. Phil said firmly. You will have a chance to speak with trained professionals. You will have an opportunity to cooperate with an investigation if your daughter chooses to pursue one. But right now, this moment is not about you. It's about your daughter finding her voice after 2 years of silence. He turned back to Emma, who sat in her chair, a mixture of fear and relief on her face. Emma, you did something incredibly brave today. You spoke a truth that was consuming you. That takes more courage than most people summon in a lifetime. The audience began to clap softly, gradually growing louder. Several members were visibly crying. Dr. Phil raised his hand for quiet. I want to make something very clear to everyone watching at home. If you are in a situation where you feel unsafe, where someone in a position of trust is violating that trust, and speaking up feels impossible, it is not impossible. There are people who will listen. There are resources available. You do not have to carry that burden alone. Behind the scenes, Dr. Phil's team had already mobilized. Within 2 hours of taping, Emma had been connected with a trauma specialist. By that evening, she was in a safe house funded by one of the show's partner organizations. Within a week, she had her own apartment, a part-time job arranged through the show's network, and a full support team. Dr. Phil checked in personally every few days for the first month, using direct calls. How are you doing? Do you need anything? Are you sleeping? Are you safe? The episode never aired as originally recorded. Instead, a special episode on recognizing signs of abuse was produced, featuring experts and advocates. Emma gave permission for her story to be shared in general terms without revealing identifying details. But that studio moment, when everything stopped, when Dr. Phil chose a person over a show, when Emma found her voice in the silence, changed everyone present. 6 months later, Dr. Phil received a letter. The handwriting was careful and deliberate. Inside was a photo of Emma at her college enrollment ceremony, along with a short note. You told me my voice mattered. I'm starting to believe it. Thank you for stopping the tape. Thank you for listening. Thank you for seeing me. Emma. Dr. Phil kept that note in his desk drawer. On days when television felt like just entertainment, when lights, cameras, and ratings felt too important, he would pull it out and remember why he did this work. Years later, he told his staff, "I've done thousands of shows. I've spoken to people dealing with every problem imaginable. But that day, when I stopped the tape, that's when I remembered what this is really about. It's not the show. It's not the audience. It's about the person in that chair who needs someone to see them, to say, 'I believe you. You matter. We'll help you.'" The business card he gave Emma became a symbol of real help. He kept a stack of personal cards in his pocket for every taping thereafter. Direct lines, real support. Emma's case led to an investigation. Her mother's boyfriend was arrested and charged. Emma's relationship with her mother remained strained, but with therapy, she began rebuilding her life piece by piece. She graduated college 3 years later, started a nonprofit for young adults escaping unsafe homes, and spoke at conferences about finding your voice when the world tells you to stay silent. Every year on the taping's anniversary, she sent Dr. Phil a message, a simple note saying, "Thank you for teaching me it matters." The lesson from that quiet confession extends far beyond a single episode. In a world filled with noise, sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is stop everything and listen, truly listen, not to respond, judge, or fix, but to witness someone's truth with the respect it deserves. Dr. Phil learned something that day, too. He had spent decades helping people on television, but the moment he turned off the cameras, the moment he chose the person over the production, that's when real healing began. The white envelope on the table contained crisis resources Dr. Phil had prepared before the show, sensing something was off. But that day, being prepared meant being willing to discard the script entirely. The silence in the studio was heavy, uncomfortable, and necessary. It was the sound of a truth too large to ignore finally finding space. It was the sound of protection failing and then being rebuilt. It was the sound of a quiet, trembling voice finally being heard. For Dr. Phil, it was a reminder. Sometimes the most important action someone in a position of influence can take is to stop everything, step off the stage, sit across from a person in pain, and simply say, "I hear you. I believe you. Let's figure this out together." That is not television. It is humanity. The ripple effect extended far beyond anyone's expectations. Survivors who watched reached out, sending letters, emails, and messages saying, "I thought I was alone." Dr. Phil's team created a dedicated resource hotline. Within months, hundreds found the courage to seek help. Emma's story, shared anonymously, became part of training for therapists and social workers. "This is what it looks like when someone finally breaks," instructors would say. "And this is what it looks like when help arrives at the right moment." Dr. Phil framed Emma's thank you note, not in his office for cameras, but in his private study at home. On difficult days, he would look at it and remember, one voice, one moment, one choice to stop and listen. It all mattered. And ultimately, humanity matters more than any show ever could.